Alright, so today we're doing another speed reviews video. I find these videos to be so useful for, I think, you guys from what I've heard, but also I just love watching these videos from other people as well. It's basically like mini reviews on products that I've been testing, whether I featured them in another video, and these are my updated thoughts, or just maybe products I've never mentioned before, but that I've been testing off camera. All the products on my face right now I am going to be talking about, so you can see how they apply and go on, but I also just have so many products in today's video. I think this might be my biggest speed reviews ever. For some reason I thought I didn't have enough, so I kept like waiting to film this, and now I probably could have made this into 2 videos. But I hope you guys enjoy. If you do while you're watching, you can give it a thumbs up. I am craving a New York bagel right now. Wow, could really go for that. Just popped into my head. But let's get into it. Also, ignore the eyelashes in the application clips. You're seeing the lash extensions. I've never had this happen. They like fully fell off, so my eyelashes are still there, but the lash extensions are gone. Very odd. Okay, so let's start off with the Giorgio Armani Luminous Silk Hydrating Primer. So this is basically like a very gel feeling. It almost just feels like a gel moisturizer, but it does have this kind of semi-thick consistency to it that I do like not too thick for underneath makeup, but it's not like a watery gel kind of formula. Definitely gives your skin a glow. It feels very hydrating. I do like using this. I think it's a nice product. I don't know if I like it enough to where I would repurchase it. Like, I don't necessarily notice a difference with the longevity of my makeup, which, you know, in a primer, I use them for different reasons. Sometimes blurring, sometimes longevity, sometimes just moisturizing my skin and like prepping it nicely for underneath makeup. So this is one that I feel like I do like to layer another primer over top of. And for the price tag, you know, just have to figure out if that's worth it for you. I'm testing a new mic right now, and I'm a little bit nervous. I did a bunch of test footage, so I hope I have the settings right, but let me know what you guys think of this audio and if you notice a difference compared to past videos or whatever. This is the Shop Miss A AOA No Pore Face Primer. So this one's a silicone-based primer that's supposed to blur out your pores. It is like $1.50 around there. It's from Shop Miss A. I recently did a whole video testing out more makeup from them. Their makeup's basically like $1 to $2, and they have some killer stuff, so if you missed that video, I'll link it in the eye down below. This one, as far as blurring, I would say does like a 5 out of 10. I do notice a little bit, but it's not to the point where I would repurchase it because I think it's like a mind-blowing, you know, blurring product. Side note, the foundation I'm wearing today is the L'Oreal True Match Nude Hyaluronic Tinted Serum. This is a new product from them. I'm wearing the lightest shade. I'm not mentioning foundations in this video because I am working on another, you know, roundup foundation kind of video on ones that I've been testing, because I've been testing a handful of them. So this will be in that video. So next up we have the Catrice True Skin tongue twister high cover concealer with hyaluronic acid. Says it's waterproof. First, talk about this as far as spot concealing. I use the shade 005 Warm to basically cover up some spots on my face that I wanted a little bit more coverage after that foundation. This one, to me, you have to let sit down if you want any kind of coverage, so just let it sit there for a good 30 seconds before you blend it out. Whether it's underneath my eyes or on my face, I find that a brush does a much better job of giving coverage. For me, if I use a sponge, I don't get a lot of coverage out of this. For spot concealing, I think it's fine. Like, if you have it, you can totally use it for spot concealing, but it's not my favorite. I don't find this to be like super high coverage like it says, especially considering the foundation that goes with this. I get asked about all the time. I do have a video on it. I'll link in the eye down below. I do like it. The foundation is high coverage. I don't find to get as much coverage out of the concealer. So for underneath my eyes, again, I like to let it sit on for a solid like 30 seconds. I'm using the shade 002 Neutral Ivory, which is better for me than 01, but the undertone of this is quite yellow. I would say I get about medium coverage with this. It does crease on me. It's not one of my favorite concealers. It's not one that I'm going to continue to reach for. Fenty Beauty Gloss Bomb Heat. So these are fairly new. This actually surprised me, this shade. This is in the shade Hot Chocolate Heat. And at first I was like, okay, I'm not gonna like this. I just like put it on a whim. I think I was actually about to take off my makeup, and that's usually when I'll like test products that I think I might not like, because if I don't like them, I can just, you know, wipe off my face or whatever. But this one very pleasantly surprised me. It's not as dark as it looks in the tube. I want a matte lip today, so I don't want to put this on, but basically it just gives you a really, really nice cool toned kind of color when you blend it out on your lips, and it's not too much for like every day. And obviously if you have a deeper skin tone, it'll look just more like a, you know, light nude shade. I really like this. I do not like the scent. Smells like cherry candy, not a fan of the scent. It does have a slight tingle. This is like the heat line. This one's in 03. I've tried a few of the Fenty gloss bombs, and so far this one is definitely my favorite, the darkest, which again is shocking. Okay, a product that I was pretty disappointed by is the Florence by Mills Cream Blush. This is in the shade Glowing G. So this has like rave reviews on Sephora, and I do not get it. I really don't get it. The first time I tried it, I was like, maybe it was the foundation I was wearing underneath. Kept testing it. It is a very, just like, I don't know, very, very, very average cream blush. I don't find that it blends out super easily. I like my blushes to blend a little bit better. It looks a little bit patchy on me, and also the shade on my skin tone is just, again, very average. Like I'm not wowed by anything about this formula at all. Honestly, the formula reminds me a little bit of something I would find at like Dollar Tree. It's not my favorite, and there's some good Dollar Tree makeup. The liquid cream blush that I have on right now that is a new release, I believe this is a new release from Milk Makeup. These are their Bionic blushes. I'm wearing the shade Infinity. I have tried all of these. Shockingly, the one that looks like red, which is Fly, works on my skin tone because these are very buildable, which is what I like about them. I like to squeeze a little bit out on my hand and then go in with my e.l.f. brush, and I like to just build it up. You can put on a little bit more right away and blend it out on your face. I find that my favorite way to apply it is to build it up, and it's hard to find buildable blushes that don't take away the coverage that you have underneath, and I do feel like this is one that just sits on the skin really beautifully. It has a glow, but it's not like shimmery glowy. It just gives a very balmy kind of look to your skin, like very healthy, dewy. Definitely the most sheer buildable formula I have, but it's still not too much to where you have to go in 500 times. You know, you can just go in once or twice, build it up, and it looks beautiful. So I've been really liking these. By the way, right now I do have on a powder blush over top that you'll see in a second, so it's not just that, but you saw it in the demo. Next up is this Fenty Beauty eyeshadow palette. This is Bomb Posse. I think I used this in a video. I definitely talked about it maybe in a vlog or something. So the shades look like they're very rosy, so if you're into like the pink tones, these colors would probably be up your alley. This one doesn't do it for me. They're pretty dry and like chalky of a formula, especially the metallic shades, but the matte shades are good. They're also a bit dry, but you can totally get, you know, a matte eye that works, and I do like how rich that brown shade is, but the shimmers and metallics in here are just a big miss for me. I feel like you could probably just skip this one and get like a Wet n Wild palette that looks very similar as far as the colors. Okay, I'm very excited to talk about these next few because glowy powders are one of my favorite things of all time to test because it's very hard to do. It's hard to do a glowy powder, at least from what the brands have been popping out. Not a lot of them nail glowy powders. They're either marketed as glowy and they're not actually glowy, or they're basically like a highlighter. There are two brands and products that I think have really nailed it in the glowy powder category, which is the Celebration Foundation Illumination from It Cosmetics. An old one, but a good one. I feel like they need to like re-release that because glowy powders are very popular right now and just like come out with more shades. It Cosmetics, you guys should do that. And then the Huda Beauty Glowish powder, which I talked all about in my recent current favorites video. That video might actually be going up after this, but spoiler alert, this is a current favorite. I have lots of caveats with this product, so I'm going to talk more about it in that video just because I want you to be aware of what this actually is and what you could use it for. But two other glowy powders that have come out recently is the Jaclyn Hill Dew Me Luminous Powder. So this is meant to be an all-over face glow dewy product. And then this one's the Laura Mercier Celestial Light Translucent Loose Setting Powder and Light Catcher. So this is marketed as a setting powder. Let's start off with this one first. First off, I'm happy to report that Laura Mercier does have an actual glowy powder because their past powder that was basically their original setting powder but glowy version, I didn't find to be glowy at all. This is definitely glowy. However, this one I feel like is overboard glow. I think this is a loose highlighter, basically. You can see how I'm applying it to get a very highlighted, very pretty look. I love this for a highlighter. It sits on the skin so nicely as a highlighter and it's the perfect tone for me. Really like how it just catches the light. It's very pretty, like very kind of ethereal glow. As a face powder, whoa, you don't want to use this as an all-over face powder. I've tried it with more dense brushes, very loose brushes, just like a light kind of dusting over. It really emphasizes the texture when you use it as an all-over powder. It just has too much of a highlight to where it looks flattering as an all-over face powder, in my opinion, at least on my skin. Maybe if you have like very, very smooth skin, it might look different, but if you have textured skin, I would not use this as an all over powder. It's very overboard. So I feel like Laura Mercier can't quite nail it with the glow level with their powders right now. The Jaclyn Hill loose setting powder. So this one does have a bit of a tint to it. It's a little bit dark and yellow for my skin tone. This is the lightest shade they make. So I do feel like they need to come out with a lighter shade. This one, the shade can work for me if I'm already like having a foundation that's a little bit too light looking, or if I just use it on like the perimeter of my face, the shade can work. So my favorite brush to apply this with is the Hailey's Beauty powder brush. I use that brush for everything: blush, bronzer, powder. If I want like a loose dusting of powder, if I'm trying to get coverage, I don't use that brush, but if I just am using a product like this where I need a really light dusting, that's the brush I'll use. So right now I purposely didn't put any setting spray on because I wanted you to really see the finish of the powders on their own right now. So I have this on basically like the perimeter of my forehead and then on most of the rest of my face down here. And I think the powder is pretty if you use that kind of brush. I've tried it with a dense brush, and again, it's like overboard, emphasizes texture, so you definitely have to use like a light hand and use a big fluffy brush with this for an all over face powder. I like it. It's not my absolute favorite. The Huda Beauty one is just like a creamier kind of powder. Same with the Patrick Star powder foundation, by the way. Very glowy, perfect amount of glow too, and has coverage. This doesn't have like coverage, so if you want that kind of glow but without the coverage, then you might like this. Or if you just prefer loose powders, because both of those are pressed. Wow, I feel like I could talk about this topic forever. This is not a speed review right now, but I need to give you the info on this one, okay? While we're on the topic, let's also do the Jaclyn Cosmetics Extra Highlighter. So this is a loose highlight. I was a little bit surprised by this one because there is so much glitter in this. It looks very nice in photography or on video. It looks really nice like under studio lights, I've found. But in actual sunlight, you just see a ton of glitter. But if you're doing photography or video and you want like a really intense highlight, then this one works for that. Okay, this thing fully shattered, but I have still been using it because I love it that much. It's the Physicians Formula Butter Donut Bronzer. So this is one of their new bronzers from the Donut collection. This is in the shade Sprinkles. When you first get this, it has like cute little colored sprinkles on top. It's just an overlay, so when you actually blend it out, it goes away. But this is my favorite Physicians Formula bronzer so far. I've been really liking this shade for a warm bronzer for me that's like not overboard. I have been liking the more warm peachy kind of look in general. Easily blendable. I just feel like this, out of all the Physicians Formula bronzers I've tried, I'm pretty sure all of them, this is my favorite shade if you're around my skin tone. Blush updates. This is the powder blush I have on over top of the cream blush. This is the AOA Perfect Blush. So this one's $1 from Shop Miss A again. This is in the shade Dandy. So I tried this in that video because I said I was on the hunt for good peach blush. And I do really like this one. However, I feel like it's not the most long lasting. Like if you're going to be using this, you really have to use a setting spray over top if you want any kind of lasting power. But even then, I feel like it does fade off after a few hours. So I guess it just depends on how long you want your blush to last and if you care about that, but it is a really pretty peachy tone and it's fully matte too. A brow gel that I've been loving is the Huda Beauty Balm Brows in the shade 6 Rich Brown. This does a really good job of actually coating your brow hairs and like giving some dimension to your brows so it doesn't just look flat and like glued onto your face. I love how tiny the wand is. It's definitely like a fiber kind of product. You can see little fibers sticking off of it. Super tiny wand. I can wear this product on its own. It does add a significant amount of color, but without being overboard. Huda Beauty has been killing it with the brow products. I love their brow pencil. It's the smallest brow pencil I've ever tried. There is pretty much no product in it, so it's extremely expensive, but it's the tiniest tip I've ever seen. So the brow gel I have on right now is the Ardell Artist Brow Fill-In Set in the shade Dark to Deep. So I like the richness of this, like if I'm going for a really dark brow, but this is one of those, like I said, where you put it on and I just find it to be too pigmented. And for having as tiny of a brush as it does, it somehow gets on your skin still. Every time I've used this, I just find that my brows look too sharpied in, like I can't get the hair look with this. It's just too intense, too pigmented for what I like. Brow pencil I've been trying a lot is the Charlotte Tilbury Brow Cheat Micro Precision Brow Pencil. This is in the shade Dark Brown. This is funny because this is like the teardrop shape that normally I don't like. However, this one's a little bit smaller and it's not a super creamy formula. It's like in between waxy and creamy. So I do feel like I still have control with this. And for a while I was just using this without any brow gel, just as like just a pencil, which I haven't done in a long time. This one I did like the look of. I like the shade of on its own, but I don't find that I can get like hair kind of strokes with this. This is more of like a soft filled in look. All right. we've got the KVB. I still don't friggin' know what this brand is. KV Beauty, KVD Beauty, I don't know. But this is the liquid gel contour in the shade Fair Cool 90. So this is the lightest cool tone shade they make. I was so excited to try this because of the reviews I was reading were saying that this shade for fair skin was just like amazing. So I understand the name gel contour. For me, I don't know if it's just like the undertone of my skin or what, but it definitely does not look cool toned on my skin, especially like when I blend it out on my face. It gives a pretty warm look. It's looking more cool toned on my hand right now. When it's on my face, it looks just like a warm bronzer. You can even see on my hand, this is what I don't like about it. It is very transparent. I get like the gel in the name because it does have this like gel kind of feel to it, but I really don't like this one because it fully picks up everything underneath. I lose all coverage when I apply this. I have tried it on just bare skin, like without foundation, because I was like, maybe I'll like it better that way. It really does nothing for me. A Charlotte Tilbury product that I did not like, I just don't think it's worth the money, is this Duo pencil. So basically one end is black, one end is like a shimmery kind of light champagne color for your waterline. It's not that this is like horrible, it's just very average, and for the price I think you can definitely pass. You could get 2 drugstore pencils that are this tone and a black that are so much better, that go on so much more black, so much more pigmented on the waterline and stay on, by LA Girl. That's what I would recommend getting over these. The LA Girl Shockwave Metallic Eyeliner. Here's LA Girl, here's Charlotte Tilbury, here's the black. So the LA Girl is a little bit lighter, but for me this actually looks way better on my waterline because this one almost like darkens my eyes a little bit. So if you have a deeper skin tone, that shade might be better for you, but the formula of the LA Girl is so much better. It goes on the waterline easier, it stays on better. This is a new eyeshadow palette release from Tarte. I picked this up at the beginning of fall whenever it launched because I'd been looking for like a true, very, very rich, warm fall kind of palette. It has like a slight vanilla kind of scent. I love the swirl design on here. So the shimmers in here are a miss for me. There's only 2, but Like You, a Latte is very chalky and powdery. You definitely have to wet this one. Here's Caffeine Queen, which doesn't have the same chalkiness. That one is a nice formula. Just watch that in a very odd spot. Sorry about that. On my skin tone, it just looks too orange. A lot of coppers can do that. They just pull super orange on me instead of looking like copper. The mattes in here I do like. They're nice, they blend out easy, they're pigmented. I've been using this palette a lot if I want a warm look. Because I don't love the shimmers, I don't think I would necessarily say like you should go run out and buy this. So I will continue to be on the hunt for like a very, very rich brown palette. M Cosmetics came out with new shades of their lip cushions, which are one of the most beautiful formulas of lip products on the market. I think they're very unique. They're super buttery, super creamy, pigmented, but you can also just like tap a little bit on if you want it less pigmented. They're almost like a very buttery feeling pigmented lip balm in a way. If you like a pink that has an undertone of rose without being like too deep, I think you would really like this shade. This one is Angeli is how it's said. So here's Faded Clementine and here's Angeli. Super comfortable on the lips. Then they came out with a balm. So this one's in Clear Quartz. So it's basically like, I thought it was going to be a similar formula. These click up from the bottom, by the way. It feels definitely more like a lightweight balm. It's not my favorite lip balm. I thought it was going to be more like the lip cushion formula. I said I would update on this in the next speed review, so here we are. This is the Berry M Liquid Chrome Highlighter Drop. So I tried this in a video I did where I tried a bunch of brands and products that I'd never heard of or tried before. You can get this on Look Fantastic. I want to say it was around like 10 or 12 bucks. Look at how freaking intense the glow is, okay? Look at that. Such a pretty shade. So one thing I noticed is when you apply this on your face, you have to work very quickly or you'll get that like stripy kind of look. So I definitely don't think this is like a beginner liquid highlight kind of look because you do have to work with it in a certain way. It's very pretty, but I do find that on the face it can get a little bit stripy looking. My favorite way to use this is on the eyes as an inner corner highlight. This is the most beautiful inner corner highlight I've found in a while. It's very intense. It's like the right undertone. You could also use this all over the lid and just like pat a little powder over top to set it, like a, you know, similar kind of shimmery tone. Super pretty. If you're doing like bridal makeup, this would be beautiful as an inner corner highlight. And the other way I found I like to use this is as like a body glow mixed in with a moisturizer. So pretty for like a shoulder or chest kind of glow. I've got 4 mascaras here I've been testing. I have another one that will be in my current favorites video that is incredible from the drugstore. So I'm not going to mention that here, but here's a few others. so I'm just gonna fly through these. Kokie Stay Dry Waterproof Mascara. Did not like this. Very just like super natural looking to the point where I would rather just not have mascara on. I had the same kind of experience with the Giorgio Armani Eyes to Kill mascara. These would actually remind me very similarly of each other, so if you're someone who likes the Giorgio Armani Eyes to Kill, you might be able to pick up the Kokie for way cheaper because I feel like they give a very similar look, super similar wand. Two that I like, the Go Big or Go Home mascara. Now that I'm looking at this, this says Kat Von D on it, so I'm confused. Did this come out before they changed over their brand? This is a big boy, okay? I don't feel like this gives me as much volume as Too Faced Better Than Sex as far as just like high-end volumizing mascaras, but I do like this one. Here's the wand on this one. By the time you get to the third coat, that's where you get a lot of volume with this. And this one is very different, but I really like this one as well. It's the Shiseido Imperial Lash Mascara Ink. So this does have rubber bristles, but they're not too stiff. The actual wand itself isn't like one of those flexible ones, which I don't like. I like when they're just like stiff like this. The bristles themselves, for being rubber, do have this like softness to them, which I think is what lets you really get in there. And it has this like slight kind of curvy shape. Again, it does give me volume. It's very nice and black. It doesn't transfer on me. It wears well throughout the day. Neither of these beat out for me the one that I'm mentioning in my current favorites video, so just stay tuned for that. The eyeshadow quads from Shop Miss A. So again, these are, I think they were $1.55. So these were kind of like, they reminded me of little dupes for ColourPop. I love the ColourPop quads. The one with the shimmers in the shade Eden, and then this one's all matte, and this is in the shade Zinnia. I was very excited to try these because, like I said, thought they might be dupes for the ColourPop. The formula of these is a little bit too powdery and not pigmented enough for what I like. They're wearable, but I just find that I have to like really build up these shadows when I put them on, especially the mattes. So I wouldn't necessarily recommend these. So a while ago, I mentioned that I'm on the hunt for the best black eyeshadow that you can use in many ways. On the lower lash line, on the top, smoking it out, that doesn't transfer up, that's super black, because it's hard to find a good, like, very rich, deep black eyeshadow. And the two that I've been testing recently are these two. Pat McGrath Dark Matter and Sugar Pill Bulletproof. Oh, I just dug my nail in. Great. I was expecting more from Pat. This is not as deep of a black as Sugar Pill and as other ones I've tried, and when you blend it out, it just turns into like this gray kind of color. As you can see here, I'm gonna even like build it up. It just is like, the deepest it gets is like a dark gray versus the Sugar Pill. I'll swatch right next to it. Like, it's insane the difference. So what I'm wearing right now is the Sugar Pill one because I do like that one more. However, I find that so far the Sugar Pill has been transferring up if I use it on the top as like a liner, which I really want a black that's like super black but that blends out well and that doesn't transfer. That's what I'm looking for. That's the goal. You can see on this eye it is transferring up a bit. Let me know down below what your all-time favorite black eyeshadow is if you're also someone who has tried a lot of them. Also, rubbing these off, look at how quick the Pat McGrath came off versus this one is just like staying on. The primer that I've been trying, really don't like this, is the ColourPop Party Proof Eye Primer. This is in the shade Caramel. I loved the packaging of this because it's a doe foot. It's really nice to just be able to like wipe it on, kind of like the Urban Decay packaging. But this, I feel like, makes my eyeshadow less pigmented. It doesn't give me any kind of coverage on my lids. It like pulls up any concealer that I have on it. I just feel like eyeshadow for me does not apply well over top of this. I get better results with my eyeshadow just putting it straight on top of a concealer than I do when I use this primer. Another miss from ColourPop for me is the Feather Effect Brow Pen. I'm pretty sure I talked about this in another video, but I was super excited to try this because it is the tiniest brow pen I've ever seen. Like, it is micro, but it doesn't matter how tiny this is if it doesn't come out the tip. Because if you have a product like this that has a really tiny brush, but then you still have to press it sideways to get it to come out, it just turns into a fat line because you can't actually use the tiny tip because the product's not coming out. So for me, I definitely still love my Milani pen the best. I'm just getting all the brow pens out of the way right now. This one is by Kevyn Aucoin, True Feather Brow Marker Gel Duo. Quite the name. So you get a very large brush on one side, and then you actually get a clear brow gel on the other side. I like the clear brow gel, but this is massive. Like, the tip of this looks just like a liquid liner. My issue with this one is that you just really don't get a lot of color payoff with this. Not pigmented enough. You can barely see it when it's on your eyes. This is Kevyn Aucoin. This ain't cheap, you know, so definitely would pass on that. Really tried the brow pens these past couple months, but this is the Rimmel one, Rimmel Brow Pro Micro. Same thing, this is just too thick, and this is like more of a felt tip applicator. Come on, there. And there it is right there. Just too big. Wow, that was a true speed review on that one. When I was in North Carolina, they have a Dollar General there, very exciting. So I recruited my grandma, my cousins, everyone. We did a whole family Dollar General trip just so I could see if I could get more shades of my favorite Believe Beauty blush. Dollface Believe Beauty Cream Blush, one of the best I've ever found, high-end or drugstore. So I picked up Tropical Sunset, and this one on my skin tone is too orange. Like, it's not really a peach, it's just like straight up orange. If you have a darker skin tone than I do, it might look really nice, but just wanted to update that Dollface is definitely my favorite shade. This is the Luminous Silk Glow Fusion Powder by Giorgio Armani. This is in the shade 3. I really didn't like this powder. I found it to look pretty chalky. It's like, again, not glowy enough to be an all over glow powder and not glowy enough to use as a highlighter, so it's kind of like there's just not a good purpose for me. The texture of it just looks very powdery on the skin. So I actually fully forgot to talk about the 2 eyeshadow palettes I was going to and that are on my eyes right now. So the first one is the KVB. This is recyclable packaging, so it is like cardboard, but pretty cool that you can recycle it. Every time I've looked on their website, it's on sale for half off, so it's like $22.50. And this is the most interesting looking palette. I don't know if it's gonna read the same way on camera, but in real life, it looks 2D, like especially the matte shades or before I started using the shimmers, you can't tell, like it looks like paper. It's very, very odd. But I've been using this a ton, and every time I've done my makeup with it, I do like it. It does depend on the base that you're using. Like today with that ColourPop base, not great. MAC Paint Pot is great with this. The ColourPop one like did not do this justice today. An Instagram reel using that one. This is what's on my eyes right now. And I also get a lot of use out of these ones. So I do like this palette. And then the other palette that I've been testing a lot is the ColourPop Play It Jewel. And I have these on my eyes today as well. Again, with ColourPop, you usually can't go wrong with ColourPop eyeshadow palettes, and this is no exception. This one's beautiful. Love the mattes in here. I'm wearing a few of the shades on this side today. Just very pigmented, pretty. If you like these tones, I think this is a good palette to pick up. All right, wow. Very last product is another Shop Miss A one that I talked about in that video. Tried it out. It's the AOA Sculpt Effects Contour Stick. This is in the shade Fawn. This is so nice. Obviously, you do not get a lot of product in here. It is $1, so you know, it is what it is. If you have fair skin, it is so pretty. It's not too ashy cool toned. Blend it out so you can see. It's like the perfect amount of cool toned where it doesn't look gray, but it's definitely not too warm. It's a very wearable contour shade if you have fair skin. You do have to like go in a few times. It dries down pretty quickly, so you want to blend it out right away. Don't like do your whole face and wait. Just put it on and then blend away right away. Love using the e.l.f. Putty Primer Applicator brush with this. That's what I use for all of my cream, gel, liquid products on my face. But if you're shopping on Shop Miss A, I love this one. This is definitely going to be like a repurchase for me on their site. Wow, that was something else. That was a lot of products. If you want to know my lip combo, I did a Instagram reel on it, slightly going into hanger mode. So I'm going to wrap up this video, but I'm going to leave everything I talked about linked down below in the description box if you want to check anything out. My shirt that I have on right now is quite old. I got it from Adore Me like probably 5 years ago. I don't even know if Adore Me is still around. I think they are. But jewelry, everything else is always linked down below in the description box too. But I love you guys. Thanks for watching. See you in my next video. Bye.